thought I'd do a video looking through them. Really just because I thought that would be a fun video type. Now, it's been a while since I've actually made a video. A lot of the videos that have been coming up are stuff that, you know, as you guys know, I was doing a lot of like daily uploads, so I was making a lot of videos. I actually have a lot of those videos saved, I just never got around to like publishing them or even just scheduling them. So there's actually quite a lot that I just left not only uploaded but once edited but not uploaded, and those that have been made but not edited yet. So I'm going to try something new to kind of cut the middleman out here a little bit and maybe upload something a little bit more, I guess, raw like this, and we'll give it a go. Now, what that means is there's not going to be a lot of edits in these videos, so we'll just see. I just don't have a lot of time anymore, if I'm honest. Right, I'm going to get something I just realised. I kind of wish I got something soft. You have to bear with me, guys. No, that's going to be too big. That'll slide all over the place. Oh well. More for me for not preparing properly, but there we go. So today we're going to be going through my magic cards. I actually have, I've made another video where I unboxed the deck that's in here, but I think this video is going to be uploaded beforehand, so maybe you'll get a kind of a flicker to the past. Now, as you can see, I've got, actually, this is an official Magic the Gathering box, deck box. Other than the front, that's it. I do like it. I thought it was going to be a bit bigger. I wanted one where you can put the display on, and I'll show you the display card here. Oh, but I guess this isn't necessarily the display, but I have this. I have this little card holder from when I bought. It was kind of an older card, and it came in this. When I bought a single, but this is what the deck is. Oh, hello there. Ah, there I am. So it is Millicent. Oh, there you can see the camera, not my D&D books. So it is Millicent, which is the commander of this command deck. It's a command deck. However, if you know your Magic the Gathering, you know that Millicent is from Crimson Vow, and is an Innistrad commander. This box is quite clearly not that. This is Duskmourn, I believe it is. I used this Duskmourn box because I wanted something thematic for my deck to be in. And then I splashed out and got an official one. So we're going to open this up. And there we go. The deck is on the inside. Maybe I can use this to put my cards down. So we'll start with just going through some of these tokens. So this deck is predominantly here as like a token deck. It's basically all about spirit tokens. I guess you could argue that it's a tribal deck because it's all about spirits, but I don't really know how, like, the kind of limit on what you would call tribal or not, but because of that, there's a lot of spirit tokens here. When I've only run this deck technically in 2 games, but one like session with a pot of friends, and like these aren't enough spirit tokens, so one of my next purchases is just going to be like buying a bunch of spirit tokens because these are not enough for the deck. And yeah, so this entire deck is basically about making as many spirit tokens as you can, because the commander's special ability, Millicent, is, as you might be able to read here, depends on whether it destroys the quality of the video here. Let's see, can you see that? Yeah, so this spell is a 5 colourless, 1 white, 1 blue to cost to play, but it costs 1 mana less for each spirit you control, which means with 5 spirit cards on the field, you know, this is just a white and a blue, and the spirit tokens can because they are spirits that you control. So the more spirit counters you have, the more of the cheaper this is. And what that means is, even if this is killed and put into the command zone, you can basically play this for near enough free the entire game. Very few times will you ever not be able to play this card. And because of this, a lot of this deck is tailored to making a spirit token so that you basically can constantly be playing Millicent. Because Millicent's other abilities, whenever a non-token spirit dies or deals damage to a player, including Millicent, you then get to create a spirit token with flying. And a lot of this deck is flying, so basically if you're playing against a deck without flying and no counters to that, you are basically going to win the game. And were it not for my inexperience, I would have won the 2 games I was playing in. But we got locked in a bit of a stalemate, and I just kind of threw the game at the end because we'd been playing for about nearly 2 hours, that one game, and other people had arrived, and I was like, okay, I think we should end the game here. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun playing this deck. I've only played it, as I said, in 2 games. It's been a while since I've played Magic the Gathering, so getting into it again was definitely interesting. And when I played it before, it was only ever standard. I never really played or got into Commander, mostly because the people I played with at the time, and they were infrequent anyway, didn't play Commander. So yeah, that's the Commander here, Millicent. So she's a very good commander, in my opinion anyway. The fact that you can just constantly play her, you don't really have to worry about the command attacks. So we'll just go through some of the deck. Let's just split this up a little bit so it's easy to go through and hold. So we'll just put Millicent over to the side here for a moment. Put the tokens there. So I have upgraded this deck a little bit. It's still what I guess people would consider like a sort of core tier 2 deck. I don't have like massive cards in here. I also don't have a lot of like countering cards like counterspell or negate. I do have arcane denial in here, but I don't have counterspell. I have bought counterspell. I'm just waiting for it to arrive. So let's just go through some of these cards. So got Rattle Chain here, kind of a bit of a standard spirit card, really. The good thing about this is, well, like the thing that is good about this, first of all, it has flash, so you can play it like an instant. The second good thing is, of course, that when it enters, it has it gives hexproof to other spirits, and spirits themselves can be cast as though they had flash as well. So this card basically is less of a creature to be having on there and more just have for its effect of just being able to, drop spirits in, or like, for example, if someone drops like a board wipe, being able to drop this as flash and put that on the top of the stack and go boom, like my entire side is like, my board is untouched now, and everyone else's creatures just got destroyed. Of course, that's assuming it doesn't get countered, but that's the other point of having other countering spells in this deck, right? Because then you can negate that or counter that. So yeah, this is a fun card. I haven't got to play with this one yet. It didn't come up in any of the games. I actually don't remember what cards were originally in this deck and what I've upgraded. Think Twice, just a simple draw card instant. It's one of those that I just swapped out some cards that I didn't want in the original deck. They didn't really lend themselves to what I was going for with it. And I've just put this in as a placeholder. This will probably be one that will go because, yeah, it's nice to have some card draw. But, honestly, I'm more interested in just, like, having some more kind of countering. Because, if I'm honest, the card draw is not as important, at least in my opinion, with what I'm doing with this deck. Got Moreland Haunted, which is just a simple hand there, blue and white, can be spent. honest, if I stick with this deck for a while, I may upgrade the lands. Not like beyond basics, but certainly to, not beyond basics, but just like upgrading the basics so it looks nicer. There's some really cool Crimson Vow ones that I like, that I may get, but we'll see. Arcane Signet, I mean, that's just a good one. Commander, you can get a mana of your commander's colour identity. This is the other commander for the deck, Donal Herald of Wings, which is pretty cool. Praise of the Blessed Graph. I mean, this one's okay, I would say. I don't have a lot of lands in it, if I'm honest. If this was like basic lands, I would swap out some of my lands, but it's just lands. And honestly, late game, I'm not sure how much this will be useful. I mean, if you're playing against a player that has or against a deck that has like a lot of ramp in it, right, and they've suddenly got a lot of lands, or if their whole deck is about having lands, then that is good. But otherwise, it's not amazing. That's one that I will probably end up switching out for something that's a little bit more tailored and more consistently useful. That feels like really specific. Bygone Bishop allows you to make some clue tokens for some card draw if you cast a low mana cost spell. Port Town, again, just another fancy land. Ethereal Investigator, this one came from, again, this is just a placeholder one that I've decided I'm going to hold in the deck for a little bit, which is basically just more investigation. It's basically card draw. Essentially, you investigate the number of opponents that you have whenever you bring this onto the field. The other thing about this though is that every time you cast your second, whenever you draw your second card, you get a 1/1 spirit creature, or spirit token even. So that's a good way to create more spirit tokens, just by having card draw. But I don't have a lot of card draw in this deck. I mean, this and the other card was a card draw, I guess. But I don't have a lot of it. If I lent into card draw, I would probably, benefit more from that. But for now, it's okay. It's just in there. Guys of Saint Trav, this one's pretty cool. Being able to make a 4/4 angel whenever you attack. It just comes in for the combat and then leaves, basically. He also has hexproof, so he just can't be targeted by, spells. Well, not any spell, creatures are spells, right? But you know what I mean. I assume. Angel of Flight Alabaster, again. This is a useful card. It allows you to return a spirit card from the graveyard to your hand at the beginning of your upkeep. So having this on the battlefield just lets you kind of go back to your graveyard and take some. So I guess having some things in your graveyard is not so bad in this deck, but I mean, like, the chances of getting that card, there's not consistently a lot of that, but it would be useful. Again, this is one that I probably will switch out. This is more of like a fuck you kind of card. You can enchant a creature. It becomes an insect creature with a base power, toughness of 0/1, has indestructible, loses all of the ability card types and creature types. It's a cool card to use, but like, personally, I would prefer something that feeds more into what I'm doing, building on the strength of the deck intention. Haunting Invitation. I don't know. I feel like I'm going through all of these one by one. I should probably just maybe not go through them one by one. But there we go. Each player reveals top card of their library. For Haunting Invitation here. You get a also returns to your hand if there are no creatures revealed. This one's a bit standard. Sawyer's Locket. Tap for mana, or tap a bunch of stuff and get some card draw. Troxcall Captain here. This one's a pretty good one. This one is a buff for other spirits, which is, and I like these kind of cards on here for adding counters on. Other spirit creatures you control get +1/+1 and have hexproof. I mean, if you have like a bunch of these spirit tokens, 1/1, say I have like 5 of these, suddenly my spirits go from 5 to 10, and that's just like crazy. Really, really good for like spirit token decks. Some of these with the longer text I probably just won't go through, but Skyclave, Apparition, exile up to 1 target, non-land, non-token permanent, that's converted mana cost of 4 or less. When it then leaves the battlefield, the card's owner creates an X/X blue illusion creature token, where X is the converted mana cost of the exiled card. So it's a way of kind of exiling certain cards, as long as they're not, land or token. Just a plains there. Benevolent Offering. There's a way to increase your life, but it increases your... It's like an all-round buff for everyone, basically. Choose an opponent, you and that play each create 3/1/1 white spirit tokens. Now that cards like this always make me go like, what exactly is the benefit of doing that? But ultimately, sure, they get a bunch of spirit tokens, but if I drop 3 spirit tokens, that might be exactly what I need to bring in Millicent, and then, create a bunch more, and sure, there's a few blockers there, but it's still pretty good. And then gaining life is just beneficial if you're on low life. For an island there. I mean, a lot of these cards have special abilities, right? That's the point of them being in Commander. Yeah, this is another Flash Spirit. You can tap a creature opponent controls when it enters into the battlefield, or another spirit enters the battlefield. That obviously includes tokens. So if this is on here, you got that down, and you bring in a bunch of spirits, you can just like tap your enemy, your opponent, and just launch an attack. So this is really good at just like creating openings. Island plains there. Spectral Shepherd up next. Barely any way through this deck. Return a target spirit to his owner's hand. I mean, that's good if you want, additional effects on things. Drop a creature in, return it to the hand, and then if you have the mana, maybe playing it again, or at the very least having it for another round if you want. If you have like an effect you want to use twice from that monster, that creature even. Sire of the Storm, another card draw. Actually, I guess this deck does have a decent amount of card draw. Apparently, I didn't even realise it until going through like this when I was actually looking out for it. Not an amazing amount, but there's some in there. Whenever you cast a spirit or arcane spell, you may draw a card. So that's nice. Myriad Landscape there. You can sacrifice it to get a couple of basics, or just use it for a colourless. Qadar's Wrath. This is one that I'm kind of like debating on. Destroy all creatures, so it's a bit of a creature board wipe. They can't be regenerated. If 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, instead destroy all creatures, then create 1/1 spirit tokens with flying. Creatures destroyed this way can't be regenerated. It's a high cost card, but being able to destroy all creatures and then potentially being able to make a bunch of spirit tokens and then dropping Millicent down again is pretty powerful, especially if you could then flash card, right? Or play not flash card like the other. I can't remember what card it was now. Was it Battleground Guys? No, it wasn't Battleground Guys. So another one that gives all other spirits flash. Well, boom! Now she can attack. Sky Cloud. I mean standard. Tap for a colourless and attack for a white and a blue. Reconnaissance mission. We've got some more card draw on this, but mostly, yeah. I mean, it's just card draw. So I take back what I said. Apparently, I do have good card draw. Maybe I should find that card that's like whenever you draw a card, deal damage to a player. I think there's one. Mentor of the Meek. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 colourless. If you do, draw a card. That one, I'm debating on whether or not I want that in there. That is definitely one on the docket for being removed. Simply because, like, 2 or less power, I don't know, I feel like it depends if you're playing against, if you're playing against, like, another token deck, I guess it could be useful, but, like, I don't know, I feel like if you're playing, like, red or green, you're gonna just be facing so much, like, high power creatures that card is effectively useless. Temple of Enlightenment, you can scry with it, that's fun, and adding a blue or a white, Occult Epiphany, you draw X cards, depending on how much colourless you paid, you then discard X cards and create 1/1 white spirit creature with flying for each card type among the cards discarded this way. So another great way of just like pumping up the spirits on the battlefield with graveyard sacrifices, and if you've got the angel there, you've also just got access to basically a second hand when it comes to creatures. We're not even through this first pile, by the way, 23 minutes in. More card draw, Spectral Sailor, Flying Flash, and card draw on that one. Planes, Hanged Executioner. When it enters, make a 1/1 spirit token. You can exile a creature. You can. You pay the cost, exile the card, and then exile a target creature. Field of Souls. Whenever a non-creature token is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. That's really good. Like if you're just going to be, especially if you're just like losing cards, that's just a good enchantment. It is very expensive and hard to find, but the main card, like the ultimate, like I would say this is a game changer card for this deck. I don't know whether or not like it would be considered game changer or not for like just the game in general, but Anointed Procession is like a game changer card for this deck in my opinion, because it just doubles all tokens. Whenever a token is made, you instead make a double of that token. So if I, for example, if I'm doing that and I drop that down there, essentially every time a creature dies, I'd be getting 2 spirit tokens instead. So Anointed Procession is like the card that I am like desperately going for in this deck, because that is just a power card for this deck. It just will bolster an already destructive amount of tokens. We've got Valorant Stance here. I actually have a number of versions of this card, but I decided on this one because I don't know, it looks cool. Quite simple. Destroy. Sorry, not destroy. Opposite of that. You can give a creature indestructible to the end of the turn, or destroy a creature with toughness of 4 or greater. Have I put these down faced? I have, yeah. Oh, and the back of the cards, by the way, are also the Dustmorn, these sleeves. Azorius Chancery. I mean, again, pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty good one to buff to use with one of the other lands here that we had earlier on, which which lets you scry if you really wanted to use it. We've got Brave Stream, which is a foiled one. I bought this one. I actually have this card normally, which comes with the deck, but I bought a foiled one because I thought, screw it. It really isn't special beyond, you know, adding blue or white. This is from the Crimson Vow reprint, I think, where it was like all the black and white. I just like the black and white for certain cards. You've got Cemetery Illuminator, which is a good card for this deck. You can exile a card from a graveyard whenever it enters the battlefield or whenever it attacks. Great way of just like, especially if you've got, if you're up against a deck that uses like graveyard farming. The last deck I used, the last game I played this with was a graveyard deck, which was basically where the graveyard became a second hand. If I had graveyard, a Cemetery Illuminator, I could have picked out cards from their graveyard to exile them and effectively nullify that effect. I mean, I probably would have got this card destroyed, but that would have been it. Oh, in addition, you can look at the top card of your library at any time, so I could just continuously look at that. Once each turn, you may cast a spell from the top of your library if it shares a card type with the exiled card, with a card exiled with the Cemetery Illuminator. So if I keep track of the cards that I'm exiling, I can also then use Cemetery Illuminator to cast spells from the top of my library. Command Tower. Simple. Add a mana from your commander's colour identity. Plains, Island, Crush Contraband here. It's just a simple destruction spell. Get rid of an artifact or enchantment. Well, technically it's exile, not pure just destruction. You can choose one or both of them. So that's just nice to have if I want to get rid of an enchantment and or a artifact, and it's and I don't want it to go in the graveyard as well, especially. We've got Remorseful Cleric here. Exile all cards from a target's player's graveyard. Again, this would be just crazy, because what I would do here is I would just, like that, I'm just imagining these cards in my deck if I'd had them when fighting that player, because I just would have dropped that and exiled his graveyard, assuming he didn't have a counter to it, but in all honesty, he didn't have a lot of counters for that. Another great one here is just like another like core card of this deck, which is the Empyrean Eagle. Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. So just another like counter buff card. Another special land here. You can scry 1 when it enters the battlefield, and add a white to the pool. And then we've got an island there now to go through the other side of the deck, which is actually arguably bigger than what we just did. I may have to go through this a little bit quicker here now. We've got Shacklegeist even, which can block only creatures with flying, which of course limits it in its blocking capabilities. However, one of the good abilities of this is that if you tap 2 untapped spirits you control, which can be the tokens of course, you can tap a creature that you don't control. So say that your opponent's got a really heavy toughness creature and you need that opening, tap 2 spirit tokens and now it's tapped and you've just got free attack. Island, Mystic Gate, which is a great one. I actually bought this one. I know that was an upgrade. Island, Lantern Bearer, so you can probably tell when some of these are upgrades. Lantern Bearer, again, I just liked the look of this card. I'll be honest, it's purely why I put it in there. I bought it for that reason. Which lets it be cast from its graveyard in its other state, which I think becomes an enchantment if I remember on its other side. I'll be honest, this card needs replacing. It's not great with this deck. It doesn't really fit the theme it being a really easy and simple to cast spirit, it doesn't really fit the vibe of the deck, you know. So it's probably going to get replaced, sadly. Up next we have Arcane Denial. I did say I did have a counter in here. Counter target spell. This controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next upkeep. You draw a card at the beginning of your next turn's upkeep. Of the next turn's upkeep. Sorry, not your next turn upkeep. Battleground Geist. Another great staple. One for this deck. Being able to just give all spirits a modifier is great. This one gives a +1/0. +1/+0, sorry. So again, just great to just buff up the the power of your spirit tokens. Suddenly, with a number of those cards that we've already mentioned, if you keep those creatures on there, your 5+1 spirits goes from being just a 5 power overall to suddenly being 15 or even 20. So like, you know, the whole point of this deck really is to get a bunch of spirit tokens, not just for Millicent who benefits from it, but just because they are going to be a bulk of your attack and defensive force. But also, I mean, unless the opponent has trample as well, you've just got yourself like a full defensive board. And even with trample, with the amount of spirit tokens you could get, and the amount of strength and toughness they might have, you might still be good. And that's the whole point of this deck, right? Hallowed Spirit Keeper here. Whenever it dies, you create X amount of white spirit creature tokens with flying, but X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So this would be a great late game one if you have lots of creatures in your graveyard. I would probably save that to the end game. Otherwise, it's kind of redundant if it gets destroyed early. Another Plains IOP, You Split the Heavens. This is one that I'm thinking of getting rid of, if I'm honest, just because it has a high cost, and a lot of this deck is playing a lot of low cost cards as opposed to a single high cost. But it is useful whenever you cast a spirit or a arcane spell. Create a 3/3 white spirit creature token with flying, so your creature tokens then will be 3/3 used from this card. So it is a good card, but it's on the fence despite how good it seems. It is on the fence for me because, you know, costing 7 is a lot, unless I get a card which is like white cards you have cost 1 less to cast, or whatever it might be, like one of those sort of spells, then yeah, I'm not going to use it as much. A couple of islands here, Path of Ancestry, which is nice. If you use this card to cast a spell, the same creature type as Millicent, so a spirit, you can scry 1, which is good. It's always nice to know what's coming up next. Fell of the Mighty, destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. And with a lot of spirit tokens, I could theoretically just wipe the board if I wanted to with that. Again, it's on the fence. I don't want a lot of wipes in this deck. I'd rather have a lot more buffs, but I understand why there are wipes, you know. The thing with wipes is I can come back from them very quickly. Well, this deck can come back from them very quickly if you're playing it right. Sky Diamond, pretty simple. I think everyone knows that one. I'll drop a Plains on there real quick. Spectral Arcanist. When Spectral Arcanist enters the battlefield, you may cast an instant or source use spell with a mana value less than or equal to the number of spirits you control from a graveyard, by the way, without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead. So you can cast a spell from a graveyard, and the thing with Spectral Arcanist, it doesn't have to be your graveyard, from a graveyard. So if your enemy has got a good spell, you just got it. So yeah, Imprisoning the Moon. basically just turns something into a land. Twilight Drover. So this is like a hit or miss card, really. Whenever a creature token leaves the battlefield, which obviously you will have a lot of in this deck, you put a +1/+1 counter on Twilight Drover, so he will increase in power. You can then pay a cost to remove one of those counters to create 2/1/1 spirit tokens. So, in theory, you could like bulk out your spirits by using it. I just think it's unless you're losing those spirit tokens, which theoretically you're going to. If you have this on the battlefield, you actually might benefit from, attacking with a spirit, even if you're not going to win the fight. As long as they don't have trample, it doesn't matter, right? It's just going to kill the spirit. But as soon as it then dies and leaves the battlefield, you can then put that on here, pay the cost, and then you effectively bought another one. So you've charged 1 for 2. So not bad there. Island, plains. I've got a full art spell, Queller foil here. I love the look of this card, so I bought it full art and as a foil. This is an upgrade, as you can imagine. So this is a good one. This is obviously a spirit creature, but it also affects effectively as a can be as a counter. So you can drop it as flash. It's flying, obviously. When this creature enters, exile target spell with mana 4 or less. When this creature leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So it's basically like holding it at bay. So if you want to keep a card at bay, this is a 3-cost card, really. I think it's pretty good. I like it. I think it's a good card to, even if you're just holding something at bay. Soul Ring, everyone knows Soul Ring. Island, Marble Diamond, simple stuff here. We've got Clarion Spirit. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white spirit token. So again, that's why we're doing a lot of low-cost spells, because we can do multiple of them. And in this case, with this on the field, we're getting spirit tokens for that. When a creature you control dies, you can sacrifice this card, and if you do, create 4 1/1 colourless spirit tokens. So I could play this card, wait for a creature to die, and then sacrifice that to make a bunch of spirits. Again, that's not a bad card. Not the strongest one in the deck, in my opinion, because it's gone after that point for a bunch of spirits. But you just know it's one of those that in a moment you really might need it. Haunted Library. This is a good one as well. Whenever let me start that again. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may pay 1 mana if you do create a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying. So basically, this enables me to make tokens even when the opponent's creatures die. Another plains. Storm of Souls here. Return all creature cards from the graveyard to the battlefield. Each of them is a 1/1 spirit with flying, in addition to its other types, or from your graveyard even. So again, a great way to just drop all creatures to the graveyard, from the graveyard to the battlefield as spirits, and then this is exiled. It's a decent spell if you really need to field a bunch of spirits, but with the 6 cost, I don't know. I'm not immediately sold on this card. I've used it before in that game, and it wasn't the game changer I thought it would be. Another Plains Deadeye Navigator here, which is an okay card. You can bind it with another creature. When it enters, they remain paired. As long as Deadeye Navigator is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has a feature called, or an ability called, exile this creature, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So essentially, you can, I guess the theory of this this is your you're like navigating the creature off the battlefield, on and off and on and off and on and off to being exiled. And if that creature has an ability about entering onto the battlefield, you can, I mean, it's not infinite, but like you can continuously do this. So I think it's a very like niche card for specific other cards in this deck, but it can combo nicely with that, I think. Azorius Signet, again, just a simple artifact there. A Plains. This one's a cool one. This is Tradewind Rider. This is an old card. This is 1997 printing. Tradewind Rider. So this creature gets dropped down. You can tap it to tap 2 creatures you control and then return a permanent to the owner's hand. So let's say they've got a massive card that I just can't get through before attacking them. I could tap and then tap 2 spirits, and that card is back in their hand and they might be now open. So Tradewind Rider, even though they could just cast it again the next turn, I think it's good to have. Karmic Guide here. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay the echo cost. So it does have a cost to continue. It's basically, I think that I thought they had a different name for that, but there we go. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you can target a creature from return a target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It also has protection from black, which is pretty good. The deck I was fighting was a black deck, so I mean it's basically immune to all that stuff, right? But it's a costly card. It's also not a massive attack cost, attack and power. You know what I'm saying? Power and toughness. I mean, I think it's good in certain circumstances, but 5 cost at the beginning of your upkeep is pretty hefty. Personally, I would probably swap this out for something that more aligns with the deck and its philosophy, but that's just me. Commander Sphere. Simple one. And you can use it for card draw if you want. Supreme Phantom. Other spirits you get. +1/+1 on. Again, just another great buffing of your spirit tokens. That's really what half this deck is. Swords to Plowshares. Exile target creature is control against life equal to its power. I mean, sure, the target player is getting something good out of it, but I mean, for 1 mana, 1 white mana to exile a target creature, I think that's pretty good and a fair pay for it. Okay, I put this one in here because I saw it on a YouTube video. My friend actually gave me this card, Drogskull Reaver. Flying, double strike, life link. Whenever you gain life, draw a card. So I don't have a lot of life gain in this deck. I think, except for this card, right? Is that, I can't remember what life link. Is that what life link is? I don't remember the term now. But I don't have a lot of actual life gain. But the double strike is pretty good on this, and it's a spirit. But it is a 7 cost card. I'll be honest. It's in this deck because I like the card, and it's a big card to drop because of its double strike. It just could be really useful, especially with the buffs that other spirits get. But at the same time, I'm not exactly sure if it is going to stay in this deck for a super long time, but I think Drogskull Reaver is a good card. But again, I just don't have enough life gain in this deck to justify it to 100% stay, because I might benefit from its second ability, really. I'm pretty sure that's what life gain is. I might just check real quick. Lifelink even, sorry. its own if it has no controller to gain that much life. Okay, so it is just as much damage as it deals. So I guess you could gain up to 6 life with that, and then at that point you draw a card. Drug skull reinforcements. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets melee. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 till the end for each opponent you attack this combat. So you get a bunch of +1s. Other creature spirits you control also have melee. So, you know, you're going to be giving a massive buff, potentially, depending on how many oh no, it's plus for each opponent. Sorry, yes, if you're attacking multiple opponents. So I mean a +3 potential bonus isn't bad. I misread that for a moment there. Yes, I don't know this deck off by heart and every card's effect. Prevent all non-combat damage. That would be down to spiritual control. Is also very good. Just being able to like nullify that damage. Not many cards left in the deck here. Intangible Virtue is a card that I drew from a booster, actually, foiled nonetheless. All creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. This is an incredible card. This is an incredible card. Giving +1/+1 to all tokens and giving them vigilance is incredible. Being able to attack with them, all of them, and then just keep them as defensive is just like peak. That for me is like teetering on a game changer for this deck. If I play that card, like effectively I can just constantly attack with my tokens. This is the good one as well. This is Breath of the Sleepness. You can cast spirit spells as though they had flash, so I can just like drop them down. Whenever you cast a creature spell during an opponent's turn, tap up to 1 target creature. So if we're moving to combat, I could drop a bunch of spirit tokens, well not spirit tokens, but I could start casting spells and then starting to tap their creatures on their turn. Windborn Muse. A creature can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. Again, that's a bit of a hit or miss card. If a player has a lot of mana and isn't using it, this card is effectively like not that useful, especially if they don't have a lot of like instants they're going to be playing or effects they're going to be using outside their turn. So this is another one that's on the line for being changed for something a little bit more in line with this. Like I would swap, personally, I would just swap this for a counter spell. The other thing is I need to constantly be managing my like mana in this deck as well, not in play but like building it, because I'm making a lot of changes, and that's just standard for anyone upgrading, right? But you know, I am keeping that in mind. At the moment the mana is relatively balanced. It's kind of out of favour with white a little bit here, as in I have a lot more my need for white mana is more than the production I have for it. Flood of Tears here is an okay one. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hand. If you return 4 or more non-token permanents you control this way, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So it's a good way to just play a card as part of this, but again, personally, I think there are other board wipes that are better. I have one coming, I think it's Path of Exile, which I've ordered. I'm probably gonna replace Path of Exile with this. Sorry, the other way around. Replace this with Path of Exile. We've got a Plains Distant Melody here. I mean, I don't mind this card. Choose a creature type and draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. I mean, it's okay, right? It's a bunch of card draw, and if I have a bunch of spirits, I mean, I can draw my entire, like, I can draw so many, but at the same time, it's all going to go to the graveyard, and I don't have a lot of graveyard feed, you know, so, I mean, this is effectively a mill at some point, right, because if I draw that many cards, Surely not. So I'm just going to be discarding a bunch. This one is a great card. This is a great card. Selfless Spirit, flying. Sacrifice this creature. Creatures you control gain indestructible to the end of turn. Say there's a board wipe. Sacrifice the card. My board is fine. Well, at least creatures are. So like this is a great way to just maintain control of my own board without risking a bunch of my creatures. But it does make it a target for exile and destruction, right? Last two cards, Ghostly Pilferer. This is an okay card. I don't mind it. Whenever Ghostly Pilferer becomes untapped, you may pay 2 mana. If you do, draw a card, so another card draw here. Whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. And finally, discard a card. Ghostly Pilferer can't be blocked this turn. So this is a good one if I just want to like keep tapping my opponents. If I have a lot of card draw and I'm using cards, I'll just like draw a card and or discard a card and get to attack without block. Yeah. But the other, draw a card when an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand. I think that's a pretty good one, especially against some decks that cast from graveyard. And then we have Unclaimed Territory, which is just a colourless mana, and you can add 1 mana of any colour, but you can only spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of a chosen type. I see, but there you go. Oh, you choose a creature type of, when it comes in, which obviously is going to be spirits, right? And that is my commander deck. Stay tuned for the next one because I've ordered the dragon one. I ordered the draconic, draconic destruction or something like that, which is a red-green deck. It's a starter commander. The thing is, I'm planning on doing a bunch of upgrades to my decks, so I'm not bothered about it being a starter deck. I think it looks pretty cool, and also I bought it so that my fiance and I can play. Well, I don't know why I'm saying it like that. You know who Katie is. God, it's been a while, hasn't it? So that Katie and I can play some commander because she doesn't have a deck, and I want something that's a bit more straightforward because that deck is mostly putting +1 or putting counters on existing cards and just having big attack cards rather than having to manage a lot of like triggers and stuff, because I figured that she would just have more fun not having to worry about that. But there we go, guys, that is my commander deck. That nearly fell down there. Move these around. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video today. It has been a hot minute since I've made a video. In fact, I think it's been potentially over a month. The last video I made was me unboxing this, and now I've already got multiple upgrades for it. So, we'll see if that video comes up before this. I actually doubt it. I'm probably going to do this and then upload it relatively quickly on. I'm going to try doing videos like this. I still want to do, edited videos, but sometimes it's just easier to film something, upload it. But I appreciate you all for watching. Those of you that have stuck around with the channel and continuing to watch, I know the views have dropped substantially. We've been stuck on about 1,860 something subscribers for ages. It'll go up a few, then it'll go down. People unsubscribe, and it is what it is. It's what happens. But yeah, we've been stuck on that for a while, so hopefully uploading a bit more frequently will fix that. But thank you very much for watching. If you have any further videos you'd like me to do, make sure to leave me some suggestions. Happy to see what that will entail and what I can get up to. I'm enjoying doing magic videos and gum chewing, so I'll probably be doing more of that in the future as well. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe and like the video because it helps. And if you like it, if you feel so obliged to hype the video as well, I'm eternally grateful for that. I do appreciate it. And of course, be sure to check out videos appearing on the side of the screen as well, because that is what YouTube has suggested you will enjoy from this channel. Thank you very much, guys. I will see you in the next video, whatever comes next.